It's a good win. There's a lot of people. It's like Woodstock, except everybody's got their clothes on.
But eat a damn snack.
You're like my wife when you get in space. You just get lost.
It's ahead! Short steps are better than long steps. That's the only time in your life you're going to hear short is better than long. It's ahead!
Hey, welcome to 614 Headsets, the weekly sports podcast where we say football is unconditional love. We couldn't agree more. We're three high school coaches from Columbus, Ohio that just love this game. We're chirping a little bit because I had a major blurb. I don't mess up a lot, and I definitely did, and we definitely did this, and I realized I didn't
How can it be our 1 year? This is our 1 year episode.
It's recording now, right?
It's huge,
It's
right?
recording now.
This is a big episode. Kyle has never made that mistake, and then now we're sitting
nerves
here.
are getting to him.
Why is he so nervous in person? Like,
I will say this, I'm going to blame both of you for making it so hard to ever be in person.
No.
oh, so now he. Have you ever seen a deflection like that before,
That
Donnie?
was great. But let's get into it. Donovan, tell everybody what we're going to do today.
We've got a few different things. Biggest thing that we've got, or I guess one of the biggest things, is we each brought a surprise drink that we don't know what it is, except for the person who brought it. We try it and we rate it live on here. Now, part of that we've already gone through.
So let's go back. We'll start there.
Let's run it back.
Ryan, tell us what you prepared for us today.
We'll just run it back. So I had a great drink made. Everybody loved it. I think Donnie's rating was very good. The stout
Seven.
I'm
What was
rating
it?
it a 7.9. It
7.9.
was 7.7 as I'm drinking this.
Wow.
He likes
because
it. 7.9.
It's hitting a little bit. I'm
Yeah.
like 7.9.
7.9.
Yep.
Thank you.
I said like a 6.4.
He raised
He
his
raised
point two.
it.
I
6.2,
like that.
6.4.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, okay, yep.
Okay, and mine's a 10. So it's a Jamaican rum, Coke, and just some lime in there. Some
lime
fresh
is a good
lime
touch.
is what gives you just that little hint
Smooth.
that's so good.
Cheers. Happy 1 year.
Yeah,
boys.
Joe, happy 1 year.
Cheers. We'll redo this again.
Kyle was
Cheers.
the lowest
So,
one and has drank the
yeah, I
most.
know
So
you-
how is you? What does that say?
I apologize.
Long day, Kyle?
I apologize. No, I apologize.
Hey.
Nobody takes it harder than me. So
Oh, here we go. He's about to start crying.
But we're going to do some
He's
hot
about to-
takes. This is the favorite episode of things. So I'm so mad at myself, but that's all right. But hey,
No one takes it harder than you, Kyle.
that's right. Pause. Nobody takes 12 inches like you do from your wedding, like your dad
You're
said.
taking it out of
You want to go there?
Here we go. We started something here.
We going to open up that? Go ahead.
He
Open
didn't
up.
say that verbatim. He said nobody took a 12-inch needle in the head like that.
No,
That's what he
your
said.
dad said nobody took 12 inches to the
How many
face. like
bourbons
you
were you
did.
down at that point when you
I had
called
to
out?
leave. I was the only one that got up and left your wedding because I had to
Started
leave.
laughing so hard.
I did. But hey, as we get started, we can't thank Fundraising University of Ohio enough and Brent Maxwell for everything he's done with our show and just riding with us from the beginning. And Fundraising University of Ohio offers a variety of fundraising efforts that helps football teams run profitable, effective, and fast-paced fundraisers designed to raise the most money in the shortest amount of time to reach your fundraising goals. Fundraising University of Ohio is locally owned, operated, and with their 6-step blitz system will help your team maximize profits. As the current coach himself, Brent Maxwell of Fundraising University will sit down and help you pick, plan, and strategize your next fundraiser. If you're interested in us running a fundraiser for you, please contact Brent Maxwell at bmaxwell@fundraising.net or 740-501-8946. Also, Fundraising
They just
University
dropped
of
off
Ohio.
my check. I'm ready. We're about to buy these 7-on-7 gear.
Let's go.
Just so you know, they just dropped off our check.
Nice.
So quick, 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago we finished.
That's I
And
think what
bang.
he prized himself on. Don't quote me, but it's something like within 9 days or something.
Yeah,
you're
it's
gonna get
quick.
your money.
You get your money quick.
Yeah, he does a phenomenal job. So coaches,
Great job.
organizations, businesses, if you want to take your fundraising to the next level, reach out to him. We just love that he is a part of the show and believe in what we're doing. And probably would not be doing this without him, to be honest with you. Fundraising University of Ohio also wants to send you to the Memorial Golf Tournament with 2 Golden Bear tickets.
Like, sign up for it. Why not sign up for it?
So,
Dude, they're free
The
tickets.
link
like,
is out there.
Memorial Tournament is sick.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's fun.
I've been once.
It's a
I've
shame
been
that
there.
golf isn't a sport, but it's still sick.
It's a lot of fun.
Golf is-
It's a cool experience
Why
if
don't-
you've
do
never
you
done
golf?
Huh?
Do you golf?
No, not particularly. I enjoy it.
You know how hard golf is? Golf is
You know how hard
great
flying a
sport.
rocket ship is?
I think golf's one of the hardest sports there is. When
One
you
of the hardest
actually
sports.
play it and see what people
Being
can do.
consistent.
One
to
of the
shoot
hardest
Like that.
skills. I'll clarify that. Not disagreeing with you there.
It's a sport.
It's a sport.
But
Moving on.
Fundraising Universal Ohio wants to send you.
It's too emotional.
There is
Oh
a
my
link
God.
to sign up. You have to sign up by
fire
May
you up all day.
15th. And we're going to go ahead and announce that when it comes time. So sign
got a
up.
pet
for
bird
those-
over here?
Nah, it's
What
probably-
is that?
We're outside on the porch
Hey,
spot. Who knows what's
shout
coming
out
up?
to Stout's wife, though. Let's not forget that.
Yeah. The wife did it up with
Unbelievable.
the setting things up, a charcuterie board, all that good stuff. I bought that for our anniversary, that board. You like that?
What is it? Infinity? Is that what it is? Or
I
no?
don't
Is
know.
that a?
Maybe it is, or an ant. I don't know. That's what she wanted. I don't know, but I love
It's
her,
an
appreciate
and
her.
sign.
It's upside down.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Further proves how you can't read. Here we go. Topic 1, favorite episodes. As we get into it, this week we actually took the time to go back through and retweet out our favorite episodes. We didn't explain why, and so topic 1, we're going to get into those episodes and why that was. And Donovan, you picked peak performance with Zach Sorensen and the first 100 days with Coach Reiser. What made you pick those ones?
With Coach Reiser, it was awesome because not only from like his position of being now a head coach throughout college football, but now a Division I head coach, to see the process of not only building a program but moving your family out of there, like making that decision overnight essentially, and making the decision to leave where you've been for however many years he was at Tiffin before then, and so on and so forth, leave the state, and to get that whole process, which I don't think people fully understand, and then build a program, explain to the players what your vision is, try to get them to buy in, understand the players. So that behind-the-scenes process with Coach Reiser was probably why, and he was just a genuine good guy, in my opinion.
How quick things happen. He was talking about how it just was just like bang. And I remember
Out of nowhere.
Tyler Jones, when I said it to him when he was he came to recruit our kids. Tiffin came to Northland, and Coach Johns was at ODU as well with me when I was there.
Yeah.
He comes in, and we have a great relationship. Love Coach Johns. And I was like, hey, what about, is Coach Reiser going to try to get a bigger job? Coach Johns was like, no, he hasn't ever said anything. Nothing. He hasn't said that. I think Coach Johns just had a kid. His wife wanted to stay. They wanted to stay there, and then bang, it happened like that, and now he's down there.
Well, it's
in North
interesting
Carolina.
because he talked about is like it comes from hiring firms, and it's next thing they're contacting you. And in the previous episode that I messed up, we talked about Kellen DeBoer going to Alabama and how I listened to Bustin' with the Boys this week, and he had 24 hours to make that decision, which is crazy.
That's so quick.
And I said my favorite thing from Coach Reiser's episode was just how when he went in there, understanding that those players didn't pick you, right?
Yeah, that's great.
That's one of the most impactful things I ever took. And I never thought like that when I took over different jobs and did things. Was like they didn't pick you, they didn't ask for you, and you have to go in there with that understanding and keep that in mind as you're taking over and dealing with players and stuff.
I think that was just a cool episode for me because he was at ODU with us. And seeing the things that he does that we didn't do at ODU, or the things that we did do, and hearing that he did do the same there, at Tiffin and won, and I'm sure going to win at Gardner-Webb. It's just super cool to see him in his advance, and now being a coach and being able to ask him questions and talk to him. It's super cool. Like you said, when you're able to be on a podcast with somebody that coached you previously in your life, and now you're doing something related to football, they were part of that journey, because this journey is long in football, right? You've been playing football since when? I was 6 years old when I
1990s?
first played.
4th grade.
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about, okay.
Oh,
Sorry, I thought
yeah.
we were talking about years.
Dude,
Yeah.
he's been playing since 82.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, we still had like
When
one
did you
bar.
graduate? For
High
real.
school?
Be honest. When did-
2006.
Stop
No,
that.
it was not in the 2000s. Shut
Yes,
your
it was.
mouth.
I wasn't. No.
I love how that has turned.
That was not in the 2000s.
I love that this has turned into a thing on the pod, but it's great. But yeah,
Look how much about this.
Lying, dude. But either way, a guy that coached you had Coach Plumlee on, and he was with you as a GA at Miami, and I feel like it's just a cool experience to have those guys on and be a part of this journey now with you as well.
Yeah. And then all those reasons for Reiser, but then with Sorensen, I think. Can I speak openly here? I'm gonna speak openly.
You're supposed to.
Yeah,
podcast.
the phrase. No, this is getting a little more open. The phrase like end the stigma with mental health, I think is so different now than it was 5 years ago, and I think Sorensen does a great job explaining what the new stigma is. In the past, I think it was people didn't really take mental health, especially with sports and athletes, very seriously. Now, I think the stigma is broken off a little bit where it's, okay, people understand it and recognize it, but I don't think people recognize as much the power behind it. We all realize there's a line, but I don't think people realize that the line can be pushed so far, it can be such an asset for you.
And just a personal example, you saw one of our players struggle a lot without mentioning any names, and just how it affected his performance so much and for so long.
Yes.
That episode is really special to me because we took some of the same things he talked about, like gratitude journals and the process and what you focus on and different things.
Yeah.
And applied that to him and worked with him. And over time, it actually helped a lot.
Became an asset.
And it was like amazing to me that to go on a podcast and next be able to take some strategies and give that to some student athletes and see it make a positive impact.
I think that's a great example because to use is when you see it directly. Like you had a player that was going through it. We had the same thing. Kid had an unfortunate event happen in his life where someone was shot and killed on top of him, right? And he was able to play that same week. And now we've approached it differently with him, and like his counselor wants him to talk about it and be open about it. And now he just did a poem for and he's one of our best players on our team by far. And you would never think he could do this like poem club, right? And he did this like open write about it. It was probably one of the best poems that was like said at our school. You know how you do those assemblies and stuff?
Yeah.
And talking to him about his mental health and stuff and like doing some of the things that, Sorensen said on there or what Brian Kane talks about. Like he brought him up. That's one of his mentors. And I've watched his podcast every morning now. I mean, he puts one out every day that's, 60 seconds to maybe 3 minutes long. Mm-hmm. And it's easy to start your morning on. And using those things with your kids and seeing it develop and make a difference is just super cool because they didn't care about that stuff when we were playing. It was like,
not at all.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
go see the sports
psychologist.
Not at all. Yeah. I don't even think that was.
Did you guys have that at school?
Yeah, it was early.
Yeah, Miami's
it was like
rich,
second or
though.
third.
Miami's got money. All the rich kids go to Miami.
None of it goes to football. I can assure you that.
Did you see that sweet white pullover he was wearing the other day?
That was
we
sick,
ain't getting nothing like that.
That was after we started winning.
Dude, our travel suits at ODU, we had to turn them in that night after.
Oh, our travel suits were different each year. It was sick. We got a swag bag in the winter.
Yeah, see?
Before fall camp.
ODU, we had to go work with Arnold to get anything.
Yeah, we didn't do that.
The Ashland, you experienced that.
Who'd you pick as your two favorite episodes?
My two favorites are super easy for me, I feel like, because one, the first dude is Kadooty. A straight dog, straight animal, and he was the reason why, and I said it on the last one, I'm going to have to say it again now because Kyle didn't hit record, but he was super real. I feel like when we don't record at the beginning, when we hop on with guests, there's some people that will be a lot more raw and like funny and maybe, say some questionable things. Kadooty didn't give a shit. You know what I mean? Like he went out and he just was like
true to himself the whole time.
You know what I'm saying? Like he just said whatever, whenever. We had to cut some things out of there because some of the things that were said were not appropriate for Ohio high school football. And even if we made claims that we don't agree with some of the views, we do, like these are our personal views a lot of times, but we shouldn't claim some things. But he was awesome. And then the next one was Parker Carmichael being the first special teams one we did, and then second, just being that's my guy, right? That was my dude. I was with him when he started his coaching career. He was with me when I started mine. I was at Pick North. He was at Lancaster, and then our boy also Ohio State, who's at Barstool now. Obviously a great dude and killing it in the Chicago office.
Tate, give us a retweet.
Yeah.
Come on.
He needs to give us something. Yeah, we need that. But that was super cool, just us three living together, and now seeing Parker go to Tiffin at the beginning. We lived together when he went to Tiffin, and he went over as a GA, and now he's down in USF. Now he's got a great title, right? Like he's just working his tail off, and he's going to be probably one of the best guys to coach college football.
And I love those episodes that you have a connection with those people. Like you said, Coach Plumlee, and for me, getting to podcast with Doug Geiser, head coach at Ashland University, and then Coach Bath last week, having connections with guys, it just life coming back full circle and bringing back all those memories and just a fun to reconnect.
Bath was super fun, though. He was cool. He was a great dude.
Bath's awesome, dude.
He's a good dude.
He is fiery, dude.
And Geiser was I don't know. Geyser's a lot different than what you think he is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he don't look like how caring he is. If that makes sense.
Like you
Like,
look
he
at
looks
him,
like
yeah.
just a tough guy.
Yeah.
Like it's a little nasty, but like he cares, man. He does a great job.
I will go to the grave saying Coach Geyser is the best relationship coach I have ever seen in my life. Like every kid in that building, he's going to know so many different facts about them and just takes the time to get to know every person and actually care about it too.
Well, he's a guy that he texts you personally as the head coach. Like it's not an assistant. Like it's not the recruiting coordinator. If he knows you and has a relationship with you, he's going to text you.
It's phenomenal. That was really special and fun to me. And then I said to Play Callers Club with Dan Casey because, like we said with Coach Caduti, those were really early episodes where to us we were so pumped that we got guests that large.
We should have them on again soon.
I know, and then chirping at Coach Casey a couple different times so he would finally get on. I think I went on a 3-week pursuit of just trying to get him on.
Good dude.
And that's what we want to say. 2 things. If you haven't checked out any of those episodes, those are some of our personal favorites. Go back and check out some of those.
Shoot him a like,
ones.
too. Leave a comment.
Maybe retweet it, Dan.
Yeah. And the other thing, too, is just being so appreciative of everybody's come on. There's no reason to come on with us idiots.
Unbelievably
when we
cool.
reach out and blankly ask you to come on. And it's just been, like, very humbling, and we really appreciate it.
Well, the relationships that we've held, like now, we have our college combine coming up. And the guys that we've had on here that are college coaches and stuff, like, they've texted. You know, like, it's just been a great ongoing relationship. And I've had a lot of guys hit me up about next year's coaching clinic.
Yeah.
As, oh, man, there was a lot of people that wanted to do that.
I think we're good. I know. And
I
I think the biggest thing in the next year's clinic that we do, we just got to get that timing right for those college coaches. I think we're going to have a banger of a coaching clinic
An unbelievable
based off of some of the feedback people gave. So those are our favorite episodes. Just go ahead and check them out. All right, here we go. Topic number 2. Some different hot takes. I don't think I've ever seen your handwriting, so this is going to be interesting as we get into this. Before we get into number 2, we have my drink of choice, and in honor of the Kentucky Derby Saturday,
I like that.
my wife has prepared for you some mint juleps.
I like that.
Go ahead and enjoy, and we're going to do our rating system again, youngest to oldest.
Cheers, come on.
They sat for a little bit.
It's still cold. Still a lot of ice on my
That's
gut.
real
They're
cold.
good. Got a mosquito in mine. Porch pod. Donnie.
The nice cups. Really nice cups.
I'm going to go 7-1.
Okay.
All right. It gets better as you drink it.
I prefer mine to be a little stronger.
7-1. I'm going to give it... It's sitting different. I think... I don't like bourbon.
Okay.
You know that.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that.
It's fair.
I hate bourbon.
I said rum was my least favorite before, so
That's fair. I didn't say it wasn't fair. But I do not like bourbon, but I will give this an 8.6.
It's good.
Wow.
It's good.
Okay.
That's good.
I like it.
And you give it?
9. You know,
The presentation is really good,
I don't
too.
drink a lot of...
But I can't give... I give Kyle's wife a 10.5.
She's phenomenal.
And actually a 15.5. I give the drink, because it's Kyle's choice, the low 8.7. This isn't because of her making it.
No.
Is that fair? Like,
That's
I don't
fair.
want that to feel like that's her rating.
No, it has
She
nothing to do
made
with how it's made.
nothing.
It's all about the
It's
style of
choice.
drink.
It's vibe. It's I don't know.
All right, let's get into these. I'm really
7.1. Never
Yeah.
mind. I changed mine.
These are... They're just going to shuffle through them. They're not going to go in any order. But card number 1 here. Funniest...
Are we going to tell people what this is? Like what we're doing? Like,
Yeah, hot takes from the thing. Yeah, here. Card number 1.
Yeah.
Funniest moment on the podcast.
When Donnie didn't know P and 10.
That was a funny one.
And but only after you said it's been on the scout, like the scouting
year.
sheet, the whole year, and he's been there for 2 years now, right?
Yes. This will be my
And so that was
I'm
the
no line coach.
no
I look at
doubt
I look at the blitzes.
was
coach
the
out,
funniest
run
part.
game, and-
Do we run the ball on first down sometimes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
because looking at Stout's face was probably the funniest part. If you could go back to that episode and find that, you would just laugh so hard. I couldn't stop laughing. I couldn't. We couldn't even cut me laughing out.
We laughed for a while.
Okay. Well, that's fine. Funniest moment, since we're going Lobos, is probably when Sayers first had to read the storied rivals ad.
That was
It was
mine.
one of the funniest things I have ever seen, and I compared it to, no offense, Floyd Mayweather trying to read that ad on the radio.
Well, let's be
Floyd
clear.
Mayweather, and my name is
Some
Floyd Mayweather.
backstory to that was laughing about how Sayers is a terrible reader and him admitting it, and then immediately being so pumped up to do it, and then within 2 words is already stumbling, and then the uncontrollable laughter that came with it. Like, to
Look,
me.
hey, that's fair. I knew that moment was going to come up when I had that question in there and I was writing these note cards. It's funny. It is funny. But I do suck at reading. And 2, I wasn't in the right mind frame that night.
True.
I
No
might have had a
excuses.
few too many
No
drinks because I
excuses,
went
stay
out
hard.
with the teachers after school that day.
Yeah. That was one. Those 2 would have been the ones I would have picked, and I were both on my mind as well. Here we go. This was hard. I had to go back through and go through scripts to look back at what we've done. Ryan came up with a phenomenal Pick 6 segment that stayed and has been a tried or true for us. It's now sponsored by Storied Rivals, right? The Pick 6 segment is powered by Storied Rivals. Sports media, championship, friendships, and life lessons are among the most meaningful parts of athletic competition. We are passionate about preserving them by offering the most unique highlight experience available. And Storied Rivals delivers your team's content with services designed to change the way you experience these unforgettable moments now and for a lifetime. Storied Rivals now offers a complete team apparel and player shop customizable to your program. Contact us by email at info@storiedrivals.com to schedule an appointment with a member of our team. And I'll tell you what, man, Aaron and Storied Rivals knocked our player shop out of the park, man. Our all blacks that we just got are fire. Guys, seriously, amazing bundles of what you can do with tying up the video and your apparel together and fundraising for even within your program. But the service and the quality and everything is phenomenal, and I'm excited with Storied Rivals being with us as well. But they power the Pick 6 segment in our show. What was the best Pick 6 question we've had or that came up?
That's tough.
I picked my own. Is that bad?
That's fair, because I picked one of yours. That's fair.
I think the best one was when I asked if foreign kids walk down the opposite side of the hallway.
Here's what's funny to me. Ryan never puts his Pick 6 questions on the script, which is great because then we get to be like the shock and wow factor of it, which I love. But for going back and trying to figure out what you really liked,
Doesn't make it easy.
it makes it hard. I also picked a Ryan Sayers one, and it is a hot dog a sandwich.
Yeah,
Because it
that
was
a
a
really
phenomenal
good
question. So
That was a great one, actually. I need to bring
That's
that
mine.
back.
That's
soon.
mine.
Oh, yeah,
Don't
sorry,
grab
sir.
it.
My fault. But that's a great question still.
yeah, that
Actually, viewers, answer that for me on Twitter.
yes,
Is it?
is a hot dog a sandwich?
There's a lot of funny ones. Donnie, what's yours? What do you...
Dude, I'm gonna be honest. I'm looking through some of them.
You can tell who did not look at the script.
No, I didn't think
Prepared
we'd-
for the
Donnie's
show.
literally so unprepared today.
No, you're gonna have to come back.
Do you want to
guys-
come back to that?
Yeah,
I
We'll bring
think-
that
well-
back up later.
I was going to say another one that was super funny and now has stuck and it annoys me is Bigfoot real? I hate it. I freaking hate it. Like, I hate Bigfoot believers.
Why?
And I hate
Hold on,
things
back up.
like that.
Why? What do you?
No, listen, Linda. I gotta say it. People have said stuff to me. Now, hey, you think Bigfoot's real?
He is.
The one
Bigfoot
episode.
was real.
What did I send you the one time?
I believe that.
Was it a sandwich or something like that I was at a restaurant and was like, oh, Stout's going to come all the way out here just to eat the Bigfoot sandwich or
Maybe.
whatever. But that's one thing that's stuck for Kyle.
Coach Morrison, he believes in Bigfoot as well. So we have more and more.
Coach
joining
Morrison
us.
looks like a guy that believes in Bigfoot.
He's still looking. Next one.
Bigfoot questions. Those are my favorite.
No, here we go. Now you're
It's
going to
my
pick my...
favorite.
Cop
You
out.
just He's
Cop out.
horrible.
That was a cop out.
Good job on your homework tonight.
out.
Good job. Good
All
job.
right. Please start with this question.
Okay.
Biggest challenge of the show or just doing the show?
Biggest challenge of doing the show or with the show? I'd say with the show, and it's probably similar to any other show out there. You can't get there's shows out there like on ESPN that have a routine. You know what I mean? They own that routine. First Take on ESPN owns that routine, and they always will. And then there's shows they're not big enough or they're not general enough where you can't get stuck on the same idea. And while we have the same idea of football, obviously, we can't always have the same episode of, okay, we're doing like this guy next week's an OC, and what's his favorite scheme? Okay, next week it's a DC. What's your favorite scheme? And the next week it's a wide receiver coach. What's your favorite scheme? The uniqueness of what we have to do of, it's football and it's high school football or it's recruiting or it's NIL or whatever it is, but keeping it unique to where viewers and listeners want to have somebody to come listen to because it's different every time, I think is a unique challenge that everyone who does a podcast or show has to figure out, but I think specifically for us, it's very unique because we're very nuanced and it can't always be the same script and formula every single time.
I'm kind of thinking how I want to say it. So go ahead, you got it. Yeah, I know you got one.
I think for me, because I came up with this question, and for me, it is the struggle of wanting to do more. I think I love what we do, and we put a lot of time into it, but the struggle of I would do more of this live.
Yeah.
We've started to dabble in some of the clinic stuff. I would do more of that. Sometimes I feel a little bit like pulled because this is a massive passion project, and it's hard because we did the clinic. That was crazy and awesome, and it was a great turnout. I threw out the idea of doing a skills and drills thing. We throw out all these ideas of things we would like to do, and it's just hard because there's so many different things, right? All of us are married. We have kids. Donovan has a different type of a schedule and job and different things. And so the biggest challenge for me is the wanting to do more, but sometimes always can't.
Yeah, I think that's like where I'm headed to is like what you're saying is that at the same time, people don't realize, I don't think, how much time we do put into it, right? Kyle more than all of us. Kyle does a lot of the video editing. He does all the cutting and pasting and does so much. And I think for me, just even filling out the script, getting a speaker, texting people about it, and then also having Wednesday night, every week freed up with when you have kids and a wife. It's unique, but
sometimes you're not always up to do the episode.
Yeah.
Not you, I'm saying in general. I know we've all had Wednesday nights
every night, every time.
Man, which is also somewhat like sometimes when we take a scheduled break, it's because it's we've rattled off a ton of episodes and a break is needed.
And then you also have game planning on top of that.
Yeah.
Like you have still trying to run practice, still going to lifting, still coaching kids, and then you're like, okay, I want to provide this to the coaches. That's the one thing that's hard. Is I want to provide more to the coaches. Like we were just talking about, we said that earlier. What we're trying to do is provide to the younger coaches and stuff, because I remember being that young guy being so thirsty. Like I remember when I was 23, 24 years old and just being like, I'm going to go to every clinic. Yeah. I'm going to listen to every podcast. I'm going to do every single thing that's football.
Yeah. I think, and I'll say this from personal level, I think early on, at least for me, it was the passion side of it, and granted, part of that was me just being a little bitch. We had a conversation at the bar after a few beers, and it was like, dude, you need to figure out.
It was a heated challenge.
Yeah, it was a challenge, and I looked at that, I'm like, why am I not as into this? And I was looking at it for a little while, I'll be honest, I was looking at a little bit of, it's like a job, something after your job, and I'm like, no, dude, this is just us shooting the shit, talking about football, having fun, trying to grow it with a purpose. But I'm like, what was it? I don't know. Early on it was a passion, and I think now, similar to what you said, it's now growing it, sustaining it, while revolving around our lives. You're, how old are your kids? 4 and 3 and
she
young.
Just told you a second ago.
3.
She's 3.
Yep, and young, and you're pushing 50. That's not easy for anybody.
It's not. To have the energy.
No.
Hey, right.
No.
I think, and then also just in general, football coaching. We're putting a lot of time into that.
Which is why we don't do much in the fall.
No.
Yeah,
let's be honest.
Last year
from
we had
content.
Hey, let's be real though. Kyle, God bless Kyle's soul. He had aspirations during the football season, and I continually in our group message said, Kyle, there ain't no way that I'm going to be able to game plan, run the program, do all the things, and record.
We settled down
Time
for
out.
4 episodes.
But it took you a minute to get to that point and say, okay, we're going to do
It took all of
4
us a minute.
Oh,
We're all
Because
like, okay,
you
we
were
can
on
do
board with it too, so don't even do that.
No, I was the one that suggested the 4 quarters that we did do, and I told you I was not going to be able to do it.
No, I
in the
agree.
season.
Which is tough though,
Well,
because
no.
the phenomenal way you could run a show in the fall if you did it weekly, and our idea of recording on Thursday and airing it Friday morning when it's football Friday night is why.
Here's my promise to you guys. If I ever win the Powerball or Mega Millions, like something big like that, you're all getting enough to retire. We're
We're
doing
just
this
doing podcast
full-time
forever.
and coaching full-time. That's all we're doing.
You know how many
That's
times I've
amazing.
been on Facebook Marketplace and seen like a sweet bus or something, and been like, oh my god, can you imagine if we had a bus we can go mobile everywhere or something?
If I hit the Mega Million, every time it gets above 700 million, I always start playing it. And I'm telling you, if any of us hit the Mega Million, we're hitting that bus. And you know what?
We're buying
I'm
a
just
studio
buying-
in Columbus.
Yeah, I'm going to buy a mansion too.
Buying a driver.
Our wives can go hang out
We'll
at the
need a
mansion,
driver.
swim.
Yeah.
Go to the mansion, swim. We just live our life.
On the flip side, what's been the biggest joy or largest takeaway from starting the podcast?
Biggest joy, I think, is I didn't think people were really going to listen to us
Yeah.
that much.
I didn't have any
Hey,
expectations.
for
going
real,
into
like,
it.
no joke. I was like, dude, I remember Kyle texted me about this, and then out of nowhere, it just started going so fast. Hey, no, we're going to record on Wednesday. Hey, no, we're going to do that. Hey, no, we have this. Here's the script. Here's this. And I was like, oh my gosh, we're about to actually do this podcast. Like, we didn't even have anything set up. We had my Wi-Fi at that point, I finally realized was so bad. It was probably the most miserable
The
thing
very
ever.
first episode, I was podcasting from a coffee table on top of storage containers.
Unbelievable.
The first studio system crashed twice
Yeah.
within it, and then we ended up
It's
switching
strict.
Switch it
what
over
we
to
use
Don
now.
and Mac. Yep.
It was definitely an interesting trial by fire. Which
I
is
think, but the
that-
joy-
but that's why I didn't hit record tonight on the first
but
one,
the
is
joy-
because I
record now,
wanted to
right?
go
It's
flashback.
recorded?
Yeah,
For
we're
me,
recording
when
now.
you go, and when we got off the bus at Whitehall, got changed and walked to the field, and the dude holding the gate didn't know who he was at the time. One of the baseball coaches. He's the head baseball coach. I came walking in, and he's, hey, I love the podcast, man. I remember
I
stopping
think
and being
it's
like,
Coach Wright.
wow.
Is it Coach Wright?
Coach Wright, I think. And I was like, hey, man, I appreciate that, bro. Thank you so much. I remember being super thankful for that moment. You know what I mean? And being like, wow.
Right.
But then also my one experience having Deuce at Walnut Ridge, I should have been your quarterback for your all gas awards. And I was like, wow. That's my joy, is seeing the people listen to it, knowing the people who are supporting us, and talking to people about it. We've gotten great feedback from coaches we know and stuff.
I'll say this: the biggest joy, one of the biggest joys for me, is I do another show based solely on college football, and all of that, like whenever like I see people listening or watching, like it's all, I don't want to say it's fake, but it's just people that like randomly get picked up on the YouTube algorithm, and it's okay, cool, but they don't really care. Like, like how much do you care about watching like the first clip on YouTube? You don't care about any people in there. Versus like this, it's all organic. For the most part, it's people in Columbus, people in Ohio. Now, granted, we have listeners and viewers from everywhere, but it's people that like actually care about not only the topic, but care about what we as people are saying and what we as people are doing. What's one of the common themes that we hear from people when they comment or anything? Love what you guys are doing. They don't always say great episode or great topic. They say love what you guys are doing. And so it's that organic feeling of this is true.
Yeah.
It's real. Is something I think is one of the reasons I love doing this. People actually care about it.
I like that.
Flip it up and change it up. NFL draft just finished up.
Mm-hmm.
Biggest winner in the NFL draft.
Washington
or player
Commanders.
you're excited for.
Here we go. Go ahead.
Now, you started off.
No, you started off. I'm waiting for
All
you.
right, so is it player excited for and team that won?
Just
Or anything?
anything about, was there a biggest winner? Maybe a team that hit a home run, or is there a player that went to a team you're super excited because you think the fit is phenomenal?
I love Joe Alt with Jim Harbaugh in San Diego, the left tackle from Notre Dame.
Okay.
I think that's sick. Winner, though, this is being as unbiased
Here
as
we go.
possible. Because you look at CBS, ESPN,
This is so stupid.
Fox Sports.
I knew this was
graded-
coming. When I was
they
writing these note
graded
cards, I was like, here
the
we go.
Washington Redskins as like an AA-, some A+, because of who they picked. They had a great draft. They got second best quarterback in the draft, Jaden Daniels. I'm very excited for that. Talked myself into that after a little while, after a few drinks that
The
night.
fourth best. Go ahead.
Fourth best.
Yeah.
Who's second and third? Drake May I get. Who's the third best? Don't say JJ McCarthy.
Penix.
You're out of your mind. Washington.
He might be fifth because I do McCarthy over him.
The
too.
reigning Heisman Trophy winner is fifth.
Yeah. I'm just like.
Anyways,
I don't know.
Washington, I thought
I don't
did a
like
good
it.
job. Dude, I think Chicago's gonna be fun to watch.
Yeah,
With
Chicago's gonna be
Caleb
nice.
and the
That's-
receiver from Washington.
That was my choice.
That was-
Chicago was my choice.
That was a great draft.
I just like it because I remember, I don't know why, when I see the Bears, I always have to say, the Bears, every time that I see their name. And then I remember, you remember Urlacher?
Yeah, I remember.
Dog.
Yeah.
I miss that dude. That was my favorite dude to play with on Madden when I was like super young because I loved defense. I played linebacker when I was young. But I do think the Bears won it. I was so sick being a Browns fan.
They had a pretty bad
We didn't
draft.
get to watch nothing. You know what I mean? First night,
They sucked.
people were like, hey,
just like in the season. They had a pretty bad sucked.
Jameis has been getting his massages. He's ready this year.
The Chiefs getting the worthy. The kid
Dude,
from
we were
Texas,
texting
I
about-
texted you that. It's just
With
once
the
again,
Bills,
a
what are they
Ferrari
doing?
falls into the lap.
But what about
Andy
Atlanta?
Reid.
Let's talk about that first pick. You signed Kirk Cousins for however many million.
It's awful, and it was funny
are
watching
we
the
doing?
GM and head coach try to explain. I'm like, you guys are a bunch of losers.
What
Like,
did
you
he
have
say?
no-
Wait, I didn't see that.
The
What did he say?
GM and coach essentially said that their reasoning for picking Penix was that they believe over the next few years with Kirk Cousins that they're going to be so good that they won't be able to go find their future franchise quarterback in 2 years or 3 years. So they won't have a high enough pick.
Interesting.
So they're picking now. And so my point is, like, first of all, you can't guarantee that. Second of all, who cares if
That's
you
not how
can't
the
go find him?
NFL works.
No, who cares if you can't go find him in 4 years? If you're good enough, you win 1 Super Bowl in 4 years. It's worth not finding a franchise quarterback.
Tom
for another
Brady
10
ain't
years.
there no more. He ain't, you know what I mean? Anybody can win now.
Here's a question: you're a Browns fan, I'm a Redskins fan. We've all been through some pain. If I could tell you now, next year you'd win a Super Bowl, but it would mean you'd have 6 more years after that of being terrible. Like
I'm
we
good.
have in the past.
Give me it. Give me the one Super Bowl.
Nobody cares.
Give me the one Super Bowl.
Nobody
Rams,
cares.
The Rams went
Correct.
for broke
It's
in
worth
the
it.
window you're in.
And you win it. It's
And there
worth it.
has been a track record lately
You need
of
that. You have to get the one
kicking
Super
the
Bowl.
money line down the road and
Yeah.
finding your window, and you try to win in that window.
Yeah.
You win it. Versus
I just realized I jumped a question.
That's okay.
I don't think either one of you got to talk about. You and I got to talk about our biggest joys or takeaways
Yeah.
from the pod.
No.
Not really.
What's yours?
No, you kind of talk.
I said mine was just the relationship.
Yeah, you talked about the
I
relationship.
think that's probably my biggest joy, but my biggest takeaway, I think, is I respect the hell out of all kinds of coaches now.
Yeah.
That you get
The
to
differences
see
of coaches.
I respect so many different coaches, and then now you get to realize too, man, it isn't always about the wins and losses. That's cool and stuff, but there's some really good coaches out here that aren't getting the wins, you know what I mean, that they deserve for their coaching. And that's just the cool
Some of your
takeaway that I've
greatest
taken.
coaching jobs might come from seasons where you don't win.
Yeah. That's and that's
Like
what
where you
you've
take
seen.
where you take a team that it to a higher,
Yeah.
higher record than maybe what
I
they
think
probably
for
should have
I
accomplished.
think
on
like for
paper.
me was just like the biggest takeaway is like winning. We won this year and it was still hard as shit. You know what I mean? Like it was still hard. Like you remember I was telling you this the one time. I remember Stout texting you being like, "Oh, winning will probably cure all though. We just gotta win." And you were like, "Nah." No, there's still big problems, bro. And then I remember this year being 9 wins in, and I remember just like looking at myself in the mirror being like, dang, that was probably one of the hardest years I've had.
So this is the second time that one year I've coached, we were 9-1, and this year we obviously went 10-0 the regular season. But what made this one different? This was the first time where we didn't catch an early loss.
Yeah.
And everything kept building to the end of the year. And so did the pressure of it, and so did everything. So it really weighed on the season looking back about like finishing this mission of because we knew we had to go undefeated to win the conference.
Correct.
Because what was staring us down with playing Pickering and North, like we knew. everybody knew that game was going to be huge, and it just so happened both teams made it into that game undefeated. And so it literally, the whole pressure and momentum of the season built into that game.
And of course, like, what was it, the week of, this is the highest ranked, like, matchup in Columbus in
It's
20
insane.
years. It's like, geez.
Like, and then for it to go down as like an ESPN classic type of a game too, on
Dude,
top of
I
it.
remember being. You remember I was texting you. I was at my house because we played Thursday night that week, and I remember sitting there and I texting Hillary during the game, like I'm sitting there just drinking beer, like living the dream, and I'm like, oh my God, you guys are going, like texting you like, great play call. Hillary's like, great job, great response. You know what I mean?
For the
Just like,
record,
oh my God.
I put my phone on
dude,
silent
yeah,
because
100%.
of those circumstances. The amount of times I have got, like 1 year I didn't, and it was just text messages. I now silence my phone from the moment like pregame begins.
I had 5 of my buddies, teammates from college, like some of my best friends that were there, because we went to the Ohio State game. We did something that weekend. So they were there watching it, and they were blowing up my phone. It was awesome seeing there. But yeah, that game was insane. There was something you said earlier I want to go back to. You said, and I didn't mean to get past your question, but it was a thought that crossed my mind. You said that through this experience, there's so much more respect for coaches that you have now.
Yep.
And I agree.
Yeah.
And on the flip side, there is so much less respect I have for some coaches now. I'm going to tell you why. Not the coaches we've interviewed, not the coaches that are coaching. But to do this now where you got to put it through social media. Obviously, we're trying to get people to follow this.
Yeah.
We're trying to get people to grow this. And then there's that side, and then you see the inverse side of how some coaches take advantage of this. Great example, your offensive line coach does a fantastic job with his clinics and stuff with offensive linemen. On the other side, there are other groups out there that we watch and we send and we go, what are we doing out here? And it's all for social media. It's all for this. It's good. I got a few beers in there.
Recruiting services.
Yeah.
Recruiting services, the O-line camps where they do one-on-ones in February. I don't blame the kids, I blame the coaches. And if you have problems with that, you can come talk to 2 of the Division I offensive linemen on the podcast. We'll tell you why you're wrong. Feel free. But there's a lot of respect that I lost for coaches throughout that process because outside of the coaching itself, you see this process of building up a following, get done. I don't want to say we're the perfect gold standard way to do it, but I think it's fair to say there's a right and a wrong way to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know. My little monologue.
I think my O-line coach, man, really does
a great
job
job
because he loves it and he does a good job. And he was an All-American at Ohio Dominican when I was there, so he knows what he's doing. Then you look, and he can demonstrate the drills. And he can do
He gets
all
the input of the players, coaches. He talked to me and Stout about.
Yep.
Donovan, we said even if you didn't like the drink, you were gonna have to finish off.
He gets the input of other coaches. He
That was
talked
a
to
rule
Stout and
before
I
episode
about a couple of our players. I'm like, ton of respect for that.
Yeah,
like,
that's
ton
what
of
he said.
respect.
He just wants to make them better, and he just wants to work with the kids. And there's some out there though that you watch on video. Ooh, we've sent a few of these
They charge
drills.
us
and we're like,
$100 to go do a one-on-one in
Brother.
February
we
in the middle of nowhere.
Strength trainers that looks like kids are about to blow their back out.
trying to throw weight around and then
Recruiting services.
Yeah.
that one's a touchy spot.
Don't go there.
Don't
We're
do
not
it,
gonna
Donnie.
go
Don't
there.
do it,
We're not
Donnie.
gonna do
I'll
it.
do it right now.
Don't do
You
it,
want to?
Donnie.
No,
Come on,
Donnie.
why not?
No.
Why not?
Question 8, because we're gonna walk the high road.
We're walking the high road no matter what I say.
Last one.
I'm gonna keep eating these coffee
This must
beans.
be. This is Orion's one. This wasn't on the original, but I like it. This is a great question by you. Be honest. Did you guys think the podcast would stick the way it has? You started it, so
Yeah.
it was your question. You go and answer it.
No.
No.
You want me to be real? Like, I
Sure,
thought it was
yeah.
going to be, and that's what I wanted to ask. That's why I put that on the post. I was just sitting there today. You start reminiscing a little bit more. It's cool that we've been doing it for a year. I love it. I think it's amazing. I'm so happy that we've been able to do what we've done. But when we first started, I was like, gosh, whatever. Ain't nobody watching it. Ain't nobody giving a shit about what we about to say on here. And then we started getting cool guests. Really cool stuff was happening. We're like, I was like, oh man, let's do this. Oh, this is super cool. And now we're on episode 43. And for me, I'm
43
like,
episodes in like 52 weeks. How nuts
you
is
see,
that?
you don't. I'm like,
Well, you got to take out the fall.
You take out the
We
fall.
did 4 episodes in the fall. That was it.
we've just worked and had a blast doing it. And I didn't think it was going to come to where it is. And that's okay to say, I think. I was thinking about that today. I was like, dang, would that, you think Colin and I were going to be mad if I said, I was like, you know what?
No.
No, because we all had that same vision. Like, I started in my house, like my Wi-Fi was. You know how good my Wi-Fi is now because of this dang podcast.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, brother! Yeah, by that up my whole Wi-Fi and everything.
My wife desperately wants to do a wives only podcast.
Yeah.
We will. We've talked about it. We will. We're going to do it live. Now that we have everything to do it, we're going to do it. Me personally, I just didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
I guess like it all started out as just a do it type of a thing.
See what
I didn't
happens.
have any expectations, and I think it's still so new. We're still learning during it, right? Like we're still learning about what works well, what doesn't, finding a structure. Like
Not even what works well, just like being. Sorry to cut you off,
No, you're
but
good.
what we talked about this week when we were on the phone was the all gas segment of the kids last year with the Elite 11 camp or the Under Armour All American camp, those things, and tagging kids blew up last year for us.
Yeah.
And then this year, been a little different. It hasn't
crazy.
blown up
Like
as much.
sometimes one thing works, you do the same thing it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's almost like
You
a
see-
timing or it's just random. You don't know.
That's what I'm saying. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
And so I didn't have any expectation with it at all, and it's just been interesting to learn throughout it. Learning, okay, we're a lot better when we schedule out a month in advance, and
Oh, yeah.
all iron tight, all that. So that's
Well, we
that's
went
my
for.
honest answer.
I'm gonna say this. We went for like 3 weeks where we were just living on edge.
Yeah, I don't
Like,
like
and
that
not
feeling.
doing nothing until Wednesday.
Y'all make me really. I start getting really anxious when I hop on and there's not much done and we don't know what's going on.
Yeah, but there's some weeks that were like that. Where
It's tough.
we went on a 3-week period where it was like, I was getting on the podcast like, oh, shit, what are we about to do tonight? You know what I mean? We got on tonight. You know what I'm saying?
I can tell.
I think I would have expected it to last a year into it. I don't think that would have been. I don't think really that was my mind. I'm like, all right, like this is gonna last 6 months, a year, like 10 years, what does it mean? I think the following and then the like what we're doing now. We're sitting here in 614 headsets gear
From
Right.
Sweden.
from Sweden, right? Pacifists. And with the equipment that was through our sponsors and our partnerships, now doing this, recalling back to our favorite moments from the year, and testing out drinks on a Wednesday night.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have guessed that piece. I still think in the future, and not so much of like, what if we get bored? I don't think we get bored, but I think of what happens, like if you hit a point and you're like, okay, I'm going to stop coaching. Or if I hit a point, it's okay, work doesn't let me coach in 5 years. Or you, if you're like, I'm done with this, like, where does it go from there? Who knows where it goes from there? But in the moment now, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Everything good thing comes to an end, but I think the way Kyle's motivated to do this stuff and way to do the online clinics, how crazy Kyle is with it. Hey, I don't know if you listeners understand.
Coach Johnson tomorrow night.
Hey, no one understands how crazy Kyle Stout is unless you've coached with him
Looking forward to me.
or you've ran a podcast with him. There's two things. Or his wife is married to him. But this man grinds his butt out and does pretty much everything. I don't know, Donnie, I don't know if you agree, but he does all our video editing. He does everything, posts everything. He runs like the Twitter. He does it all. Shit, we just get the people to come on and
I think
I
I think everybody does a unique thing for it, and that's what's given its harmony moving forward. Whether we've had to challenge each other every now and then throughout it, but I think that's what's made it so great. To be honest with you,
Yeah.
I'm not. Sometimes I'm not the easiest to deal with, and I understand that. But I appreciate
Sometimes
you
I
guys
just
for
don't
riding
text
with me.
Kyle back.
Yeah, I know. But
I was
Hey.
like, all right.
that's our hot takes for you. Last and final topic. Donnie has brought us something that I have no idea what we are about to enjoy here at the end. So
You gotta
Donovan,
love the wine. Thanks, Donnie,
What
for
is
the
this?
wine.
It's not wine. Hold on, I'm fixing my mic.
Is this an Aperol Spritz?
It's not an Aperol Spritz. Man,
I promise, I could have swore Donnie was about to bring a White Claw.
No.
Peach White Claw.
What are you trying to smell? What does it smell like?
I feel like I'm at a wine tasting.
No.
Like a cranberry.
Do I have to?
It is from the local distillery.
cranberry juice?
No, in Pittsburgh. It's cranberry moonshine. And it is...
I did not
is.
see that coming.
Me either.
You're thinking like, okay, like whatever. And you're going to sip it and you're going to go, oh, I could sip this all day.
I did
Trust
not
me.
see
All
that
day?
coming.
What's
All
Donnie do that he doesn't
day.
teach that he can
Trust
sip
me.
all day?
You're going to try this and you go, this is awesome. So I hope
right.
you enjoy.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Not bad, right?
Cheers.
Not bad at
I
all.
did not expect that. You really blew me away.
Wow.
Backstory.
Let's.
I said it was
Hold on,
gonna
we're gonna
be
rewind the rates though. It's gonna go oldest first.
All right.
Because like moonshine's an old thing. So
I love moonshine. I'm going to give it a 9.
Okay, yeah.
that's a solid rating. I think I'm gonna give it. Hold on, one more. You can feel it straight down the chest too. It feels great. I'm gonna say that sounds that sounded unbelievable. That's probably the funniest part about the podcast. To answer one of our last questions, some of the things you're like, oh wow, but I'll give it Donnie 9.5.
Okay.
It's actually really good. I'm impressed, Donnie. I thought it was gonna be a peach
You're
white claw. I
rating?
swear to God.
You're glad I didn't do the
Or a high
the,
noon.
the crown apple,
Which is
yeah,
what I was
whatever.
getting to the backstory. I text Ryan today and he said, this dude's
So
gonna bring
funny.
Fireball or he's going to bring Crown Apple. And then he busts out a Crown Apple pre-made drink.
Because
Yeah.
I
This
thought
was
we were
a
doing-
better pivot.
Yes, the crown apple one. I'm like, this is gonna be bad. I can already tell.
Good pivot.
This I'll give a 9.3. There's one they do. I don't have any with me. It's apple pie moonshine.
Yeah, that's
It is
fire, yeah.
insane.
Unreal.
I'm so excited to drink
this
it.
We had that when we were in
Pittsburgh, huh?
Tennessee.
Yeah, out of a little outside of Pittsburgh.
What's it called?
Pittsburgh. McLaughlin Distillery.
I
I
like
think it
that.
is.
That's good. I like. When we went to Tennessee, we did a moonshine
You have to.
thing.
They're great
Tasted
down
all
there.
the way around. That was probably one of the craziest nights of my life. Drank way too much.
Yeah. I like that.
Good job, Donnie. Hey,
And I'm actually thoroughly impressed. This might be one of, in a small list of times, this is one of my proudest moments.
I was just about to say you feel like a proud dad, don't
Yeah,
you? Right now?
almost.
Yeah.
Last topic, 2024, talking about what you are looking forward to in the next year, personally, professionally, with the podcast, your season, whatever. What are you looking forward to?
Man, that's a loaded question. There's so much you can go for.
Oh man, I was thinking about this one a lot today. Looking at the script and just thinking the past few days, there's a lot there that you can unfold into.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Kyle?
I think I just continue to try to keep this thing going and expand it in different directions and hopefully try to take it even larger. I guess that the latest thing I'm chewing on, some of it I've reached out to you, is
Yeah.
maybe a book in 2024. I don't even think my wife knows about it, but it might start small as an ebook and maybe get into a printable style book, but I've already come up with a working title and I've reached out to about
I was
15 or
working on my
20,
part today.
15 or 20 different coaches today to be a part of it, but it's going to be something that just every page includes or features another coach, and it's just something
working
doing a
on
little
it today.
play stuff. And
It's really cool. It's
You
a
know,
great idea.
I think that is the crushing this,
Buckeye ball, baby.
doing that. Yeah, it's going to be called Buckeye Ball. There's a little bit that comes later after that. Just trying to, and I guess as a coach too, like I've mentioned, is trying to maybe not make everything have to be about winning all the time. I think the last couple of years we've won so much, it's almost become an unhealthy pursuit at times. I think that's part of the challenge of being the coordinator too, is you're so consumed with the perfection of everything in the game plan, is trying to get back to the relationship side of things a little bit more. As when I was a younger coach or a position coach, is to try to do better in that range, I should say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think for me, like with the podcast, I think just I want to continue to find ways to help coaches, right? Like I said earlier on the podcast, is I was that young guy at one point that didn't really know anything, right? I remember being 24 years old, taking over the program, and I tell people this a lot, and I think that's the hard thing in this profession is there's a lot of haters, right?
A lot.
There's a lot of dudes that
Which obviously probably been playing comments about what we're doing.
Yeah,
Like,
100%.
bring it on.
Yeah.
What I'm gonna say is though, if in Columbus, like the Central Ohio area, if there was more like love for the coaches and that we're all trying to achieve the same goal, we would be in a way better area, and it would be in a great spot.
The
for
state would be
football.
better for it.
Yeah, like I feel like there's a lot of guys that were in this coaching business, and I've gained so much respect for coaches across the board because of this, because of the podcast, because of connections that I've made. That when you look there's a lot of places that you look from the outside in, and you're like, that should be a good school. They should be winning.
a lot
And I
of them.
remember I used to think that way a ton, and now I'm like, oh man, there's just times that you don't have the Jimmies and the Joes, you don't have the guys,
Comes down to players.
and you're not going to win. For me, that's changed my perspective. I think with the podcast, my perspective is I want to be that guy to help young coaches. I want to be that guy to give them an outlet and give them a good place to come to get great information.
I think this is part of the problem. That's not like other regions in the state. If Columbus regions weren't all jam-packed together in the same conference and in the same region for playoffs, I think you might see more of a collaboration. I think there's a lot of coaches who collaborate within Columbus and with each other. But I think there would be more of that if we weren't having to turn around and play each other 2 times a year at times. I think that's what maybe leads to some of the standoffish or maybe not doing things or sharing as much because of the logistics of it.
I feel that. That's a great point. But I think there's also still, not just from the logistics, I think there's just a lot of hate. Like if you start something new, if you try to do something different, right? There's going to be always that person in the background that's going to just be saying something about you, and it's not true. And I always say it to my assistant coaches. I'm like, because they'll ask me questions about different things that they might have heard or something, and then it's like, hey, they will always make a story if they don't have one. If they don't have a story, the people that are around this Columbus area that follow football, that don't coach football, that post stuff a lot, right? They don't know football, but they're going to make a story about you, even if they don't have a story about you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I like that.
And that's the part that's tough in Columbus, Ohio, and that's the part that I want to get our podcast to, is where we don't care how long you've been doing it. We don't care about none of that. This is a great place to come for coaches. This is a great place to learn. You have information out the wazoo of how to build a program, run an offensive scheme, game plan, and then you can even reach out to those guys. Those guys that we have on this podcast are willing to talk to anybody.
Like, we hope it's part entertainment. We hope it's part informational and knowledge, and a part like growing the game and growing just Columbus, Ohio football, which is what I said with the Buckeye Ball, is like trying to feature Ohio coaches and what we have that's so great.
Yeah. I think for me, going in this year, I just got married a month ago, and buying a house with my wife and moving in there in a week. And so
those personal goals are amazing.
The personal side of things, and it ties in with football. And I've said this a few times. I went to Gahanna as a player. Coach Ward was my coach as a head coach, and Jackson and Holiday and others were on that staff too. And to be on the staff was always so meaningful to me. And now with my wife as our new family, moving into the city of Gahanna, and I lived there when I was in high school, but it's been a few years. It's been a while since I've lived there. I was in Oxford, and then I was in essentially Westville, New Albany, in my apartment with her. And so to be a part of the community, like actually be a part of the community, you might be able to relate to it, but it's still a little different. Being a part of the community in this new big step in my life with her and with our growing family, as a community member of Gahanna while being a coach, means a lot to me. I knew it meant a lot to us when we were looking for places to go, and I'm super excited about that because we're not even there yet. I already feel like I'm a little bit more connected, a little bit more part of the city that I love.
Yeah, I go back to the times where I lived, coached, and taught in the same school district, community, everything. It was a really strong connection. This is the closest I can get to that now. But like, even for me, this is probably the first time and a half-ish, I should say, that I'm be where your feet are. I was like that at Pickerington too. I was super happy with Pickerington. I loved my role there. Then I felt like I maybe outgrew my role there a little bit where I was at. And maybe not outgrew my role, I should say this. I felt like I wasn't growing. That was what it was. I'm a person that really likes to challenge myself. That's probably why I take on too many passions and hobbies and projects a little bit, because I never stop, because my mind races in a lot of different ways. And for me, I felt like I was needing that next big push and challenge again to force me to grow. And that's what coming back to Gahanna did. And for me, this is the time frame where I don't follow what's really going on job-wise. I don't follow what's going on other stuff, because for me, it's like I'm here and this is what I was meant to do and where I'm meant to be.
Yeah.
Like, meant to be with Coach Ward and Coach Holiday and you and everybody else. So, like, for me, I have zero aspirations to be a head coach right now. I don't know in the future. We'll see. But that's not a goal I'm working towards. The only goal I have right now is absolutely crushing and dominating the role I'm in now. To the point of
that's a great
I
point.
want to break everybody.
Yeah.
That is the only thing I care about is bleeding this blue and getting football and being where I'm at now. I'm not, I guess I've gone through the other parts of things where I chase things a little bit. You and I have spent conversations talking about different stuff and just being at a point where I feel like I'm at a spot where I'm doing what I was meant to do, like that type of thing.
And I think you get that calling, right? Like you feel when it's time to plant your roots and stay right there. But then there's also times like, I think as a coach, man, you always have to just water that grass where your feet are, no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing, even in that process, even if maybe the job that you have right now is something you don't want. You just got to make it the best job you want. And I always tell people this, is where you're at, you want to take that place to its ceiling. Not every place, and let's be real, I'm going to be honest with you guys, not every place is going to win a state championship. Yeah. We know that. Not every place
it's really hard to win a state championship.
Not every, okay, let's even rewind it to, not every place is going to win a district championship. Not every place is even going to make it to playoffs.
Conference championship.
Let's just go there. Like, it took me all the way until last year until I won a conference championship.
Right, you feel what I'm saying though? And so it took us 2 years to win our conference championship.
Sorry, we won one the year before. It's 2 years before.
But still,
and that felt like the longest 2 years ever. But at the same time, your goal, and correct me if I'm wrong, you guys might be like, no, he sounds stupid. Your goal is to know the ceiling of that place and know where you can get it, and now try to break that ceiling and have that look in front of the kids. But at the same time, as a coach, let's be real.
You know. If you've coached long enough, you have an idea where your team might be going.
There's moments you're like, okay, like, great, anything can happen in the world.
But this is going to be
really hard to get to that point.
Like 2 years ago, we knew our team was a team that could win a conference championship, make a run in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. But even then, it never felt real until we got over the hurdle of beating Pick Central.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then went on to win. And then we got in the playoffs. It was almost like we were getting stronger each week. And then it turned into, we have something here.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Even coming back next year, we knew, okay, this is another team where we could get back to that again, possibly.
This is a great time, though, for me, I think, in my brain, as I'm sitting here listening to you, to wrap it back to what you said earlier. You're wanting to get back to the relationship side because winning became so contagious and winning became addictive. It's a drug. Winning is a drug for your body, and that's a true
I'm the
fact.
worst at it.
And I'm the worst, too. And so for me, at being 9-1 last year, I think that, for me, dude, my seniors, I love those dudes to death. Those were my first 4-year class, and they've done an amazing job for me. But I feel like once we brought that up, probably a few weeks ago, you brought that up, being in a relationship, trying to get back to that. I started looking back on myself too. I didn't have, and this is different, but we had a videographer, but I didn't have as many pictures on picture day as with my previous groups. Right. I didn't have just those certain little things that you go through, and I look back at my pictures, I'm like, dang, dude. Well, I didn't care about pictures. I was care about winning that 4th year. Because that 4th year as a head coach, that's your first 4-year group. Well, that's your first one you've had for 4 years. And I knew we were going to be good, just like you said a minute ago. You knew that team was going to be able to make a run. I knew that the team we had this year was going to be the best team that we've had in a long time at Northland. And I knew that we could probably, really, if we don't get the worst draw in America, we could probably clip a team the first round. Draw. You know what I mean? I could probably clip a team the first round. But we got a crazy
really
draw.
Bad matchup.
Yeah, they bumped from 17 even out of the playoffs all the way to 12 after beating a 9-0 Canal in Big Walnut. And that's not an excuse, but at the same time,
being realistic.
I'm being realistic, like we're saying is.
I told you right away it was a great matchup.
I think once those,
I texted you right away.
The schedules came out, the playoffs came out, and you're like, I remember, he didn't say bad draw immediately. He said, "What's the game plan?"
So the cool thing is
what are you going to do to attack this?
I have first period prep, and Ryan is driving to work that time. And sometimes we'll spend 20, 30 minutes talking.
42
even this morning,
the other day.
We spent this morning talking on the phone for a while. Just for me, the relationship side of things is I've told you guys.
We talk about the games every week.
My struggle has been battling the being a father of 2 and trying to do everything and the longevity of it, because I am obsessive with game planning and winning. to the point of burning yourself into the ground. And so I thought, does my mindset need to change about understanding, like, my job as a high school coach is to maximize the experience for the high school players. And winning's going to happen if it happens, that type of thing. And so, like, I've been trying to formulate my mind to hopefully that extends my career. In a very real standpoint, I've gotten to the point where it's like, man, I've been doing this since 4th grade football, or this is like my 13th season of high school football.
Yeah, dude.
And so it's gotten to the point of, man, like, to not become so burnt out and so run down, and to think about, man, this is the last year. I can't do it anymore. Does my perspective of why I need to coach need to become more truer?
And I love that. Go ahead, Donnie.
I'll tell you this. You said, like, your perspective shifting. I'm like, all right, like, what's the real, like, mindset that you have? And I think my first year coaching with you guys was, you and the rest of the staff, was a wild, fun ride. And then there was a point, and it worked out well with work. Like, just my work schedule, it's different than most people's outside of being teachers, right? Like, I got a very favorable work schedule to be able to do this. And after that first year, I moved to a different role. I think I told you in the meeting, man, my role changed. Like, this is going to be a little different. And it was going into that second year, as my role was changing, and I still hold this true to me today, is that I drew a line in the sand of nothing from my work life is going to make me stop doing this until it absolutely has to. Like, it's, people have conditions. I had to drop off my kids in the morning, and you got to come in late for work or whatever. This is my line in the sand until it affects it, because we've been very fortunate in the offensive line group over the past few years to have a few kids go and earn a scholarship. And I like to think that we played at least a small percentage in that. And to me, it's, staying the extra 30 minutes at work when I don't really need to, even though that's what's expected, and drawing that line in the sand isn't worth maybe not helping a kid get an opportunity to go to school for free for 4 years. Or becoming a better son. Right, or just loving football more.
Just a better person.
Correct.
Football's taught all of us.
Correct.
And I love that you've done it since 4th grade. I've done it since I was, my brother, so when you could start tackle was 6. And I was 5, my brother was a year older. So I started at 5. I was out there with those guys at 5. And so for me, right now, I'm 28 years old, so go ahead, do the math there. 23, Donnie. 23 years I haven't not been on a sideline in the fall. Like, I couldn't imagine life without football. I literally don't understand it. I don't know what it is. I don't know what that looks like. I have no clue, like, how that would be. And I tell my wife that all the time is, Amanda was like, when I tell him, like, I couldn't imagine. I have football was my first love. Like, I tell my wife that all the time, like, you're the first girl, like, I fell in love with. You got to talk to him. But I said, football is my first love. Like, this game's taught me my entire life. Everything that I've done.
You guys want to hear how I started playing football?
Huh?
You guys want to hear how I started playing football?
Did your dad talk about this at the wedding?
No.
He talked about something. Go ahead.
Yeah,
no. I played, like, the Little League, like, Hannah League, like, in 4th, 5th grade. Hated it because I sucked at football. I was getting shit beat out of me, right? It was before I got bigger and everything like that. And then middle school, there was no 6th grade football. There was 7th grade. I didn't play 7th grade. I tried basketball because I thought that'd be my thing, and it wasn't. And then I played tennis. I played that through high school, by the way, FYI. Yeah. 2-year tennis player in high school. Yeah, you wouldn't believe it. But going into 8th grade, there was like a week or two where I started golfing, like, just for fun with a couple buddies. And I was like, I'm going to do the golf team. Like, I'm going to play golf and play tennis. And my dad, a little panicked, was like, sure you want to do that? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I'm decided that between golf and football, and he paid me $20 to do the first week of football practice if I'd like it. I didn't really like it. And he's like, too late, you already went. And so I was stuck in it. Yeah. And then 8th grade was there, freshman year, and then boom, it's already there.
I love the mirror. The mirror's
That's
fantastic.
amazing. That's amazing, though. But I started just because my brother started, right? And so he was 6 years old, and then I just got into it. And, like, 23 years later, I would never change the world, though. Like, the football world is amazing. We've made amazing connections. Life is great with our podcast. We do a great job, and
it's great.
Our listeners are amazing, and it's just been great.
We appreciate everybody. Make sure, subscribe. If you haven't done so, just subscribe. Like, even if you're listening to it occasionally, it helps us. Like, hop on there, give us a rating, give us a comment. All that stuff really helps us grow and try to expand what we're doing. And we just appreciate everybody. Happy 1 year, boys. Thank you to Fundraising University and Storied Rivals. And we can't wait till you see what we have in store, because next week, if everything falls through, which it should, next week's guest will be the biggest we've had yet. And we can't
Especially
wait.
for what's upcoming.
See you then.